So if you're one of those safety professionals who still believes that data analytics is none of their business, then wait until you hear this. We are dealing with data in everything that we do, from our health and safety activities like workplace inspections, risk assessment, training, accident investigation, near-miss reporting, supply evaluation, management review meetings, inspections, audits, and a whole lot. And all of these activities involve generating data. But the traditional approach that we are all used to is the fact that once we have the data, it is already captured in some type of form or a checklist, and that form of checklist is simply filed somewhere for evidence-based reporting. Now, we need to establish the fact that health and safety is moving away from just the paperwork where you have all of these records sitting on a shelf gathering dust, to now extracting the data that you are collecting from these forms and checklists, organizing them properly in a type of system like an Excel worksheet or workbook, and then taking time to maximize the value of the data that you've collected in order to draw some insight for decision making. So data analytics is an integral part of health and safety, and for that reason we're going to explore this topic right here. All right, so what is HSE Data Analytics all about? It is all about maximizing the value of data, or exploring data to uncover insight and communicating this insight with stakeholders for decision making. So if you are going by a systematic approach, we say that it's the process of collecting, organizing, analyzing to identify insight, and visualizing this insight with visuals like bar chart, pie chart, column chart, donut chart, and all other visuals that are relevant for the type of data or for the type of analysis that you've done, and communicating that with your stakeholders for decision making. It's all about understanding safety performance and making smart decisions with data. So traditionally, we are moving away from paperwork, assumptions, manual reporting to evidence that is driven by data and being able to predict insights and share insight to stakeholders. So let's explore the steps in HSE Data Analytics. The first step has to do with data collection. So this involves gathering data from our health and safety activities like workplace inspections, risk assessment, training, accident investigation, near-miss reporting, supply evaluation, management review meetings, inspections, audits, where a form or a checklist has to be filled. The details that is being filled within these forms and checklists is the data that we need to extract. Now, once we extract the data, we need to organize the data and clean up the data. So we move on to the next step, which is data cleaning and preparation. So this involves removing duplicates, correcting errors, standardizing some categories, preparing the data sets in a well-structured format for analysis. And this one, you're probably going to use Power Query or Microsoft Excel to ensure that your data is properly organized and clean for analysis. Number 3, which is the third step, has to do with data analysis. So data analysis, basically using statistical models to be able to identify trends, to be able to spot some patterns, which is like the maximum value, the minimum value. And then the next important thing, which is data visualization. That has to do with the insight that you've uncovered from the analysis. We need to now visualize using the suitable visuals to communicate effectively with our stakeholders like top management. So we'll eventually come out with dashboards like incidents dashboard, injury classification dashboard, near miss trend dashboard, or any type of dashboard that is relevant to communicate the insight that you've uncovered from your analysis. And then number 5 has to do with the fact that we need to be able to predict and do some advanced analysis based on the patterns that we've uncovered in order to advise, suggest to top management about when next incident is likely to occur, which department can likely have an incident, which unsafe act is increasing, and for that reason we need to stop or put in place some proactive interventions, which equipment is likely to fail. So this one gets into the realm of predictive analysis, diagnostic analysis, and machine learning. But a lot of the thing that we do is descriptive, working with historical data to uncover the patterns. But once we go beyond this historical data, we have a lot more insight. We then look within these insights to be able to make some predictions. So that gets us into diagnostic analysis and predictive analysis and all of that. So what are the benefits of HSE Data Analytics? It improves decision making because this is evidence based on data, not just evidence based on paperwork, but evidence based on data. Again, there's early detection of high risk activities or unsafe conditions or unsafe acts from the system, from the data that we've collected. We can be able to make a proactive intervention to prevent them from occurring. There's also better allocation of scarce resources because top management now knows what exactly is the problem and where to allocate the scarce resource. And then again, once we're able to do all of that, we're able to reduce workplace accidents and injuries, and we're able to enhance compliance with ISO standard, which helps us to get ISO certification and help us to build a good corporate image. There's also stronger safety culture within the organization, and all of this is based on accurate reporting of the data. So once the value of data becomes very important to the company, then everybody reports correctly. The system of data collection becomes much more streamlined, and then because there are safety professionals who are focused on how the data comes in terms of data collection and how they clean up and all of these cool stuff. So a typical example of HSE Data Analytics is basically you being able to analyze your incidents, being able to analyze lost work days that are being recorded within your organization, sort of like the LTIs, tracking the lost work days from the LTIs, know which department is having the most lost work days. We can equally be predicting month-on-month incident trends. You can tell which month spikes, the most as far as incident occurrence is concerned. And then again, we can visualize which body part is recording the most incident. If it's a hands and fingers injury, that means that we have a lot of pinch points within the workplace which we need to correct. All right. And then again, we can look at trend analysis of corrective action closure rates. So there's another type of trend analysis or HS analytics that we could be doing. So the common tool that HS analysts use is Microsoft Excel. And with Microsoft Excel, you need to know pivot table, pivot chart, Power Query, Power Pivot, and again Power BI, which is another important tool that we use. We also use SQL, which is a database management system. So sometimes data could be hosted on a particular server, an SQL server. For that reason, you need to learn SQL, structured query language that helps you to connect with the database so that you can be able to extract data. We also use Python for more advanced analytics, and this is more like programming, coding, where you're able to do some analysis, create some dashboards and all of that. So that is basically what HS Data Analytics is all about. So are you still thinking HS Data Analytics does not concern you? If you're a professional, then trust me, you're not doing the best for yourself, because once you understand the entire scope of this, you know that data analytics is part and parcel of your job and you can never dispense with it. I'm going to see you guys in another video. Bye for now.